Brandyn, brother, hello.
Hello, sir.
Brother, welcome to the interview. It's a real pleasure to have you here and to finally sit down with a fighter whose story goes far beyond what happens inside the ring. You have taken a very unusual road to professional boxing, from football and college to driving hours every day just to train, overcoming setbacks, and eventually finding your home in Las Vegas. So today, I want to go deep into your story, your mindset, your boxing, and the champion you believe you are destined to become. You are welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes.
A lot of fighters know from a very young age that boxing is what they want to do. Your story is completely different because boxing came into your life after football, college, work, and some difficult moments. There was actually a specific moment in a college classroom when you realized you needed to change the direction of your life. My first question: what exactly was going through your mind that day when you decided you were going to try boxing or MMA?
What was going through my mind was that because one day I was sitting in my class because I had an opportunity to transfer to a university, and then I had a setback where I did not pass this class, and so it set me back into another year at this community college, and then I became so discouraged and so overwhelmed where I told myself, you know what? I'm so over school and I'm so over football. I don't even want to play football no more because my plan was to transfer to this university and walk on to this university in Northern California, which is Humboldt State University. That's where I wanted to go to school at. And then one day I told myself that, you know what? It was either going to be boxing or MMA. And long story short, my grandmother ended up getting sick. And then the word got out towards my family because I have a lot of family in California and down south as well, Mississippi and Alabama. And one of my cousins that live in Los Angeles came out to visit us, and she seen me, and she seen my grandmother, and she was talking to me, and she noticed that I was over 300 pounds, and that was around the time that I was so stressed out and I was unhappy and I was going through a lot of things. I was in trouble, so much depression, all the above. So long story short, she was telling me that um, how she was going to this boxing gym out there in Carson, California. And next thing you know, she told me about this coach. And she was saying that she trains over here and train with this guy. I said, okay, cool. And so she started noticing that I was getting into trouble. I was in our country we call it crashing out. In our culture, we call it crashing out, meaning that like crashing out means that you're liable to get in trouble and you're liable to react to certain situations. And next thing you know, she was telling my mom that Lynette, because that's my mother's name. She was telling my mother that you should get Brandon into boxing. And she said, why? She said that because I can see Brandon making a career out of it. And I can see him doing great things in the sport as well. And so she told her about the coach. And that's exactly where she became interested and wanted to know more about the coach and about the gym out there. So one day we planned to take a trip out there to Los Angeles, where she lives at. And my family is from Los Angeles as well, born and raised out there. And I'm a military kid, by the way. So my mom did 20 years in the Navy. So we live everywhere in California. And so we drove out there to Carson in separate cars, and we went to my cousin's house, and the coach was there. And so that's how I met the coach over there. And so we had a long talk and set out the plan and said what was expected and let it go from there. And so next thing you know, I stayed with my cousin on the days that I did not have school. And then the days that I had school, I would train in the morning and I would drive all the way back to San Diego from Los Angeles to my night class. So yeah, so you're talking about a 2 hour drive from city to city to Bots. And I did that for 3 years, 6 days a week. So yeah. So that's how it all started.
Your cousin played a huge role in changing the direction of your life.
Yes.
Uh, when you look back now, do you think your cousin saw the fighter inside you before you did?
Man, to be honest with you, the days, the days when I started, I honestly thought that, because I'm gonna be honest with you, sir. I honestly thought that the days of me going to the gym, I thought that I was never going to get better. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I thought that I was never going to get better because I've seen a lot of guys up in there that were way more experienced than me. When I first walked into the Boston gym, and the gym that I started at, I don't know if you ever seen a video where Andy Ruiz sparred against Evander Holyfield. Remember you seen that video on YouTube? Yeah, that was the gym that I started at the Rock Boxing Gym over there in Carson, California. That was the gym where I started at in 2019, before COVID came to the country. And I started up in there, and I remember as many days I went up in there, I seen Oscar Valdez up in there. I always see him up in there sparring. I didn't know who he was because I was like, okay, who is this guy? He's really good. Until about 3 days later, 3 days later, I saw him on Top Rank. I saw him on TV fighting. I was like, I just saw this guy in my gym like days ago, which was so like crazy. I was like mind boggling. I was like, yo, I just saw this guy just in my gym. And so I did not know that the guy was a former Olympian as well like this too. And so there's been a lot of major people that have came to that gym. A lot of people came to that gym. Hakeem Rodman and Michael Hunter has been in that gym as well. And I met a lot of people up in there. And but as far as me being up in there, I went from 300 pounds to 210 pounds. And my old coach, he did, I think he did a 5 year bid in prison. And he was a former fighter himself. He fought against Livingston Ramble. He fought against him. And they took the fight away from him, but he beat him. And this was in Newark, New Jersey. That's where my old coach is from. He's from Newark, New Jersey. And so, yeah, and I'll never forget the day when I first sparred. I sparred against one of the guys who were way more experienced than me. He hit me so hard, and I never been hit like that. And I remember thinking that, okay, I'm in shape, I work out. No, there's a difference between being in shape and being in fighting shape. And I've learned that a lot. And I was like, when I got popped so hard in sparring, I was like, Jesus, yeah, this is a lot different than way more than football. And so, next, as a fighter, I told myself that I was not going to quit. I was not going to give up. I was going to get better. What motivated me and what had that fire is that I was going to show up and I was going to prove myself that I can do this and I know I can do it and I know I'm going to get better. I'm going to show everybody that I can get to the level that I can be at. It's just like them, or I can surpass them. That was just my mentality. I'm going to surpass you. So there were days to where I've had people tell me that, oh, you're not going to get better. Oh, you're just going to be a punching bag. Or you're still going to remain the same. You're still going to remain here. Or I want to be always superior than you. No, it's not the case. As time went on, what I kept doing is still putting in the work, still training hard. I still showed up. And I'll give you another example too. Compared to the fighters that lived in Los Angeles, that live literally right down the street from the gym, I would leave San Diego around 5:30 in the morning, and I would get there literally right before them. And compared to me, I live in another city. I would get to the gym way before you. So yeah, that's how dedicated I was. I'm still dedicated. Like that same drive, where that drive comes from, it comes from being in football, and it comes from watching my mother work hard as a retired veteran in the military. That's where that drive comes from. Because I was taught that when you put in the work and when you put in the consistency, you'll get rewarded by what you do. You'll see the results by what you put in. So you cannot get upset and you cannot get mad or point the fingers at everyone else because of the results that you get at the end. So you always got to put in the hard work. It don't matter. And I also learned like this too. Just because somebody got way more experience than you, what makes you think that as a late starter that you can't beat them? And I've had that happen too, to where guys who are way more experienced than me, I've I've outshined them in scoring. So yeah. So I'm one of the guys. I'm the type of individual. I don't like to talk. I like to show. So yeah, I'm the type of individual like that.
You were 26 years old when you seriously committed yourself to boxing. That's
Yes, sir.
an age when many people would say it's already too late to start chasing a professional boxing career. Instead
Yes.
of listening to those people, you decided to make sacrifices that most people wouldn't even consider. What made
Yes.
you believe that you could still become a professional fighter at 26?
What made me believe is that by me not listening to people, what made me believe is that because I always looked up as a kid, I've always looked up to people. Um, I've always admired athletes. I've always admired like athletes and non-athletes, meaning that you ever hear the stories of where people have said that have, like for example, you ever hear the stories about how inventors have always been told by people that, oh, you can't invent this, that'll never work. Or take Michael Jordan as an example. You can like they always told Jordan that he was too small. He'll never grow in height. What happened? He wanted to grow in height in basketball when he was in high school. And um and then it's a few other more I can think of right at the top of my head. But I always looked at stories like that. I've always looked at the people who were doubted. I've always admired people who were doubted, even the great ones. Like for example, Mike Tyson. And I don't know if you've seen on my page that I got a picture with Mike Tyson. I met him 2 years ago at my gym. And Mike Tyson's my number one. He's number one on my top five list. I can give you my five top fighters. Is Mike Tyson, James Toney, which I just met last week on Friday. I just met him. Um, Roy Jones Jr., Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler. Those are my top five fighters. And I always looked up to them. I always studied them over time, over the past years when I started. And I always admired like the guys who got into boxing who are late starters as well, like Rocky Marciano. He started late. And Bernard Hopkins started late. And many other fighters. They all started late. And what happened with them? They always wind up becoming great fighters in the long run. I always looked at guys like that. So what I can tell you, man, I just don't listen to people. I just don't listen to people. I stay in my own way. I've always been the type of person. I always been the type of since I was a kid. I think outside the box. I always think outside the box.
You were living in San Diego, but training in Los Angeles.
Yes.
You were driving from San Diego to LA 6 days a week just to get your work in. While
Yes.
some days you were training and then returning to San Diego for college classes,
Yes.
sometimes morning and night.
Uh
How
huh.
difficult was that lifestyle physically and mentally?
Um, I ain't gonna lie. When I first started, it was difficult at first. And then when I really, really started loving it, when I really started loving boxing, that's where I made my decision where I told myself I'm done with school. That's why I told myself that boxing is going to be full time. I'm committed to this. That's why I decided to give up school. I told myself I'm done with school because I went to college right after I graduated high school. Hello. I went to college right after I graduated high school in 2012, and so I had a Division II school that was football that was interested in me. I got a letter from them. It was in Minnesota. I didn't go because I knew I was going to end up back in California, and I know I was going to get homesick. That's why I didn't go. So I took the JUCO route, and I went to three. I went to three different community colleges. None of them didn't work out. And what I've learned is that in the college football world is very political, and what they do is recruit all these players from different cities and different states, and you only have a 1 or 5% chance of playing. And if you don't play, what you're going to do is gray shirt, and most people I know winds up falling down the right path or the life of crime and all types of stuff. And I didn't want to be there. So that's exactly where around my whole 20s, I was still trying to figure out what was I cut out for in this life? What was I cut out for in my future? I was still trying to find myself. And one thing I forgot to tell you was that when I was 10 or 11 years old, I was in a Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. My mentor, he taught me boxing. So I wasn't really foreign to boxing. So I was already taught it, but I never really got to fulfill it like most kids did when they started as an adolescent. So I was already taught it. But when I really took boxing very serious was at 26 years old. But when I was doing it on them days of driving from city to city, and then I had my night classes and stuff, that's why I told my mother, you know what, I'm done with school. That's why I told myself I chose myself to do boxing full time, and I have full support behind me. So I have the support, so I'm good. So my mother told me this and everything too. I believe in you. I know you can do this. So go ahead, do it. So so as well what she does, she has my support. She has my bad. What I mean to say is that she supports me 100%, and I have no kids. I have um no baby mothers or any of that. I don't have none of that at all. I'm single, and this is my bread and butter. This is my full time job is boxing. So yeah, I don't have none of the problems that most people have. I can humbly say that, but I know a lot of fighters they have to work and they have to train and they have to do this and do that. I don't have to worry about those. Yeah, I can just train full time.
Brother, I think you will need to write a book, an autobiography about your past when you become the world champion in
Oh,
boxing.
oh yeah, most definitely, yeah. Sometimes I think about that too because like I know I can inspire like a lot of people, and I know I can inspire kids as well. I know my story will inspire many people, and I always tell people that, and I always tell the kids in my gym is that don't ever let nobody tell you what you can't do because the sky's the limit. And if you listen to people who've never done the things that you're doing right now, most likely they're unhappy and they're miserable and they're pessimistic, and you don't need to be around people like that. You got to be around people who are positive, who are winners. If you hang around losers, you're going to have a loser mentality. If you hang around winners, you're going to have a winner's mentality. And I'm around greatness every day. So yeah, that's just my mentality.
I think time will pass and our interview will become legendary. After all, when you become a world champion, they will listen to it, our interview. Because eventually you made the decision to leave college and pursue boxing full time. That
Yes,
was
sir.
obviously a major decision because you were giving up the traditional path for something with no guarantees. You were
Mm.
basically betting on yourself and your ability to survive in a very unforgiving sport. Was there ever a moment when you questioned whether leaving college was the right decision.
To be honest with you, yes, it was. And my mother would ask me, do you ever think about going back to school? And I told her no. To be honest with you, no, because here's the thing. There's a lot of people, like I'll give you an example. My cousin. My cousin went to a 4-year university in San Diego. He went to San Diego State University. And he graduated with political science. And what I can tell you is that he went to school all those 4 years. And the major that he graduated with, he did not get the job that that he went to school for. And there's a whole lot of people that went to college for what they majored in. There's a whole lot of people who are working in restaurants, fast food places, and many other places. And so I told her this side too. College to me is a waste of time, and that is no disrespect for people who go to college and that wants to send their kids to college at all whatsoever. It's no disrespect to them at all. But for me, I told myself that I wasn't interested in college anymore because I became so burnt out, and college wasn't cut out for me. And I got sick of what I got tired of. I got sick of dealing with instructors being impatient, taking their anger out on students and stuff, coming to school every day, to just like whatever their personal demons they're doing with at home and with other staff and with other students, and they're projecting that onto students and stuff. This student, and they showing their favorites onto other students. So I didn't want to deal with that no more. And then you want to pass this certain student because you like him, or you want to pass this student because you don't want to pass this student because you don't like him for whatever reason, or you want to be biased towards this person stuff. I don't want to deal with that. That's why I became so burnt out with school. I don't, and to be honest with you, if you ask me, do I have any regrets right now? No, I don't have no regrets. I love what I do every day. I wake up every day. I wake up every morning smiling at what I do. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. I love it.
Before boxing, football was a major part of your life, American football. You were pursuing college football, but things didn't work out the way you hoped. Looking back, football still gave you experience with competition, discipline, physicality, and pressure, big pressure. How much do you think your football background helped prepare you for boxing?
Oh, it really prepared me well because football, I was a defensive lineman. And my 40-yard dash, I've always been quick and athletic for a big guy. And I'm almost 5'10. So I'm the same size as Mike Tyson and James Toney. So that's like my fighting type of style, as I told you like yesterday. And my 40-yard dash, what I ran in football was a 4.88. So that's how quick and fast I am. I'm very quick and fast for my size. And it taught me in football that to be very competitive and stay on point and stay on alert, because you may never know. You can meet your match in front of you, or um, you may never know is that somebody can so as somebody can get your ticket, and you always want to stay prepared ahead of time. You always want to be 20 steps ahead than the next person. And so the work ethic that I had in football, I transitioned all the way over to boxing. And so every single day when I come in the gym, my whole mentality is that while this other person is being lazy, while that other person is lackadaisical, I'm always doing that extra work. Meaning that every day before I come to the gym, what I do on strength and conditioning days, I go to my fitness gym, I go to LVAC. I go run 60 minutes on the treadmill, and I shadow box on the treadmill as well. And I do my strength and conditioning there. And then I come to the gym and I do my work here. And then my actual boxing work, my training, I do my work here. So I'm always extra work outside the gym before I come to the gym as well. And so I always I'm the type of guy, if you tell me to run, from from my gym all the way to the stratosphere. I'm going to run. I'm going to run from here to the stratosphere because I'm the type of dude. I don't run. I don't run like 5 miles. I run more than 5 miles.
When you started training, you were thrown into sparring with people who were smaller, bigger, less experienced, and much more experienced than you. You
Mhm.
didn't have the luxury of slowly developing in a comfortable environment. You were
Yes.
constantly being tested and forced to adapt. What did those early sparring sessions teach you about yourself as a
Oh,
fighter?
oh, it taught me that it taught me that I wasn't as tough as I think I was. It taught me that. It also taught me that you're dealing with somebody that's very serious about what they do, and it also taught me that you also got to be, if you're very serious about boxing, you also got to be serious about your craft as well too. You also can't be you cannot be that guy that comes to the gym who just say that, oh, I'm just do my boxing workout and then just call it a day and just go home and just rest and just watch TV or just go hang out with friends or go hang out with chicks and stuff. This too. No. When you come to the boxing gym and you see what you got to work on and what you got to fix, you should take your ass at home and fix and practice what the hell you did not do in the gym. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's never complacent and I'm never satisfied. When I'm unhappy about how I performed in sparring or whatever I did in the gym I did not like, I'm going to go home and perfect it. And I'm going to study some fighters of how they use the jab, how they use the right hand, how they move their head, how they do the uppercut. I'm going to find the littlest things, footwork, everything, pressure fight, angles, everything. I'm going to study them. That's what I want to do. I'm not the type of fighter who is complacent, who is satisfied, because I'm the type of fighter I want more because I expect the best out of myself. I expect more out of myself because I know I can be better. And I sparred against guys who are world champions. I sparred against guys I sparred against I never forget. I sparred against a guy in Los Angeles that was a Nigerian dude. He's had about I think like 5 or 6 pro fights, and I think the guy he was one of those heavyweights that were like very lazy. So I think they wanted him to spar with like Andy Ruiz, and he pulled out. He didn't want to spar with Andy Ruiz, and I guess he's like one of those guys. Like he likes to pick and choose who to spar with, but he wasn't really serious about boxing. So he just wanted to be like that. Oh, I'm a fighter. I just want to pick and choose who I spar. Like I always tell people this all the time. When I came into the sport, I could not pick and choose who to spar. I had to spar with everybody. And so like when I came out here to Vegas, I sparred with Kevin Newman. You know who Kevin Newman is? I sparred with him. I did 10 rounds with him one day. I sparred with Kevin Newman. I sparred with like a lot of notable guys. So yeah, I spar with veterans. I spar with guys who've had about 20 fights or way more fights than me. I've been in there with some killers. So yeah, and they made me a lot tough. They made me a lot sharper and more stronger over time.
One person who had a major impact on your development was Mylik Birdsong. You
Yes,
described him as someone who would beat you up in sparring and force you to get better every single day. Those
yes,
experiences clearly become an important part of your development as a boxer. What did
yes.
Mylik teach you inside the gym that you still carry with you today?
Man, Malik taught me so much, man. Malik taught me to he taught me to always move my head, always be slick, and always keep moving my hands and keep putting the pressure on someone. And to always stay on point in the ring, man. Malik was a talented fighter, man. Sadly, he was killed in 2024. One day when I was waking up on my way to the boxing gym, my mother asked me because she keeps up with KTLA News, and she asked me. She said, "Brandon, did you know a guy named Mylik?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" She said, "What's his last name? Birdsong." I said, "I believe so. I can't point the finger at it. Why?" She showed me the picture and said, is this him?" I said, "Yeah, it was him." And it said, "Pro boxer shot and killed." I said, "Yeah." And I was so devastated because I have a lot of videos with Mylik, and we have a lot of videos of us sparring. And every single time we were in the gym, he would ask me to record or take pictures, and he would have me record him doing pull-ups and doing funny stuff and stuff this too. But Mylik, he fought at 150, and the dude hit like a heavyweight. He hit like a heavyweight. And Malika he came from one of the most he came from one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Los Angeles, because of his upbringing. And I'm not gonna say too much about his background because like I don't like to put people's like personal business out there and stuff this too. But Malika came from one of the most dangerous areas of Los Angeles, and he was going to be one of those guys that was going to make it out. And his last fight, he's going to fight against a Russian fighter on UFC Fight Pass, and it was going to be for $15 million. That was going to be his biggest fight payday, and he just won a belt as well too that year. And when he got this fight, sadly, um, he was murdered, and they murdered him right outside of his mother's house. And when I found out, I was so devastated. And during the summer, I remember one night I was asleep. I had a dream that I was around some fellas, and we was looking at chicks on Instagram. And I remember that, and we was just looking on the phones. We was like, "What about this girl? What about this girl?" And I hear somebody behind me. They're like, "Yeah, that's the one." And I turned around. It was him. He visited me in my dream, and I was like, "Wow!" And it made me want to cry. So yeah, but Mylik, he was a great teammate, and he was a really good friend of mine. And so yeah, but I miss him every day, and I think of him every day because every single time I'm on my phone, it always pops up the pictures and stuff. So yeah, but he could have been a hell of a fighter. He could have been a great fighter. So yeah, but I miss him. Rest in peace to Mylik. But that was the one in Los Angeles that made me really tough. That was a great teammate of mine.
Very, very sad story.
Yeah,
Mylik's story eventually took a tragic turn, and you had known him personally as a
yeah,
teammate and sparring partner. You
yes.
had videos and photographs from your time together in the gym. Hearing the news about what happened to him was obviously incredibly difficult. What do you
Yes.
remember most about Mylik as a person rather than as a boxer? As a person.
Mhm. Man, as a person, he's Mylik was a very genuine guy. He would get the shirt off his back. He was very funny. He was very comedic. Um, he would um, he would help you out. He was very family oriented. Um, he loved everybody. He was a loving person. Um, he knew all the musicians out there in Los Angeles. And he was signed to. I think he had a manager as well, and sometimes like he would do photo shoots like with some models and stuff like this too. So yeah, so he was like as a we had a lot of motion out there in Los Angeles. He had so much motion out there in Los Angeles. He was well known throughout the neighborhoods, and he was well known throughout the boxing world. And I'll never forget, he sparred with Shane Mosley. So yeah, he sparred with Shane Mosley as well. So yeah. Mm-hmm. And Malika, he was a great guy, and I miss him. So yeah, there ain't a day that doesn't go by that I miss him. And when I found out that he passed away, he was very close with his niece. That's why I can remember because he always bring his niece to the gym.
Mylik was a talented fighter who had already won a belt and was preparing for a major opportunity. You knew what he was capable of because you had experienced his ability firsthand in the gym. Unfortunately, he never got the opportunity to show the world what he could become. Do you
Yes,
ever feel like carrying part of his memory with you when you step into the ring?
yes, because I think about those days when I was in the gym, and I never forget. Like he always told me this. Like too. He's like, "Yo, keep that hand up. That's why I'm popping you. That's why I'm popping you." Like that's like he always told me this. Yo, Brandon, keep that hand up. Keep that hand up, B. And then I remember that as time I was getting better and I was popping people and I was like dropping them stuff. This too. And then me and him, we started going at it. And he started feeling my power. When I started developing power in both of my hands, he was like this. He was like, man, get this big ass. Get this big ass dude. Get this big bastard. He's like, get him away from me. Yeah. So yeah, we would go at it in smart though, but it was real good. But yeah, but Mylik, I remember like one day when when it was like the second or third time we sparred at the Rock. I'll never forget. I think it was at the Rock or in Compton. We sparred and Mylik, he jabbed to the body and threw like a right hook to my nose. I thought he broke my nose. Blood like splattered right across the ring. That's how hard he hit. He hit like a heavyweight. Yeah, yeah. I feel his spirit. I always feel his spirit because I never forget. Because that's how much of a like an impact he left on me. And not only he left on me, he left on a lot of people. But I did consider him as a friend and as a great teammate. He was a great friend and he was a great teammate. So like one thing about me and stuff, this too, like just because like I left from Los Angeles because of stuff that happened and stuff like this too. What I would never disrespect the deceased. I would never disrespect the dead. I would never do that at all whatsoever. I'll always show my respect. I'll always give credit when it's due. He was a hell of a fighter, and he could have been one of the great ones coming out of Los Angeles.
Your first amateur fight came at the Silver and Gold tournament at
Yeah,
Prim Valley. It was a Las Vegas versus California type of environment, and you represented the LA side. You believe you won the fight, but didn't
yeah.
get the decision. Take
Uh,
us back to that night. What happened from your perspective?
well, here's the thing. So the first round, I went straight at the guy, and the guy that I fought against, he was a former professional bodybuilder, and I went straight at him, and he almost got knocked out. And this was my first fight, and everybody was surprised. They were like, "Oh wow, what the hell?" And so, um, second round came. I was a little winded. I was like tired because in that tournament you got to fight. You got to fight. You got to da 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 like that. And the third round, I was coming at him, and he was almost like knocked out and stuff. When it was the last round, um, I threw an overhand, and the referee jumped in the middle. He came back with his overhand, and the referee called it off on me, and everybody was like, "What?" And so the whole crowd and everybody then went ballistic. And my side and my section, I'm one of the coaches. One of the coaches, so they threw the hat at the official, and all the gyms out here in Vegas, they were all yelling and screaming and cussing at the ref. And my mother was, my cousin was, and my whole section was. My nephew was. He was upset, and everybody was there. This too. Metropolitan was gripping on their guns and stuff. This too. That's how wild it was. Like I feel like I was on an episode of ECW when they were throwing all the steel chairs in the ring. Like that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was about to get. Yeah, when they robbed me in that fight. And the referee, he told me this too. He said this, how many fights you had? I said, this is my first one. He said, oh, this was your first fight. And his response to me was this too. He said, hey man, you're going to be a champion. I said, thank you. So I handled it well, even though I was upset, but I handled it well. I handled it like a champ. So yeah, because I know stuff like this happens, it comes with it, and that's how it is in the amateur system. So yeah.
You describe the reaction after that decision as extremely intense. Your team and other people in the building believed strongly that you had won. You even remember the situation becoming serious enough that metropolis were present with firearms.
Yes.
How did you personally manage to stay calm when everything around you becomes so heated?
Because when you're so used to being in hostile environments and being in dangerous like situations and stuff, and especially being in a place like Los Angeles, and you already know what Los Angeles is known for. I'm assuming, right? You know what LA is known for a lot of things, right? And you became adapted to those situations. You became very adaptive, and you already know what it's about. And so that's how I know, like like that's how I know, like it's nothing to me. And that's how I told myself is that you know what, man, like it is what it is. Like for example, there's like two people. It can be like three or four people like fighting in front of me. I can just be cool as a fan while I'm drinking a Sprite. Like okay, just like that. Yeah, but I handled it well though. So yeah,
Several notable fighters, including the Vargas brothers,
yes,
approached you afterward and told you they believed you had won. That must
yeah,
have meant something because these were experienced people in boxing who understood what they were watching. At the same time, you still had to accept the official result and move forward. Did that controversial loss, bad decision, motivate you more than a victory would have?
man. Uh, all I can tell you, man, is that stuff like this happens, and to make sure that the next time I'm in that ring, make sure the person is down officially. Just make sure that I'll make sure every single time I step in that ring, excuse my language when I say this, knock their ass out and make sure that they don't get back up. That's my only thing. Every time I step in that ring, you're not facing the crowd, you're not facing the referee. You're in the ring there with me. You're gonna have to deal with me. I'm gonna knock your ass out. That's just my mentality. Every single time, I'm gonna make sure you not get up.
You only had three amateur fights, which
Mm-hmm.
is very unusual for someone entering professional boxing. Most
Yeah.
fighters build dozens of amateur fights before making that transition, more than 100 fights. You decided that your development would happen through hard sparring and real life experience rather than simply accumulating amateur bouts. Do you think having so few amateur fights made your journey more difficult, or did it make you hungrier?
Oh, it made me hungrier. It made me hungrier. It made me more resilient. It made me more hungrier, more resilient. It did not hinder me not one bit, because every single day I'm put through the fire. I'm always tested. I'm always battle tested at all. Like, like what did Nala say in the movie Lion King? I laugh in the face of danger. That's me. That's me, pretty much. Yeah.
Your amateur record doesn't tell the full story because there were circumstances surrounding those fights that you believe affected the results. You had a stoppage victory, but you also experienced controversial losses. Those
Mhm.
experiences can either break a fighter or create a completely different level of determination. What did those three amateur fights ultimately teach you?
It just teach me that all it did, it just teaches me that just to work hard. Ain't no secret, ain't nothing special, ain't no substance. All you got to do is just put in the work and just work hard. The more you work hard, the better results that you're going to get. That's all it is. It's just hard work. I always tell people, like as I always tell people this, when you get into the sport of boxing, understand you're going to work hard. But also is that you also got to be smart when you work hard too. Because if you train hard all the time, you're breaking your body down, and you're most likely going to have a lot of injuries. Like there are some coaches who will spar their fighters like 4 or 5 times in the gym, and that's not smart. A real smart coach is going to know when to tone it down. A real smart coach is going to know when to have their fighters spar around a certain amount of time. Sparring 3 times in a week is good, but sparring 4 or 5 or 6 times, that's not good at all. And it's like I love my coach that I have now so much is because not only he's like my pops, and my coach, he's like he's an old school he's an old school type of coach, and my coach, he comes from the lineage under Big Roy, and he grew up training under Big Roy. He trained along with Roy Jones Jr. and Derek Gain, and he was only 14 years old coming into their gym. And so when my coach was 14 years old, he was whooping all the kids because my coach, he was a troubled kid at one time, and he was whooping on all the kids. And Big Roy told him this. He said, "This is that. Okay, all right, cool. Okay, I see you getting up all the kids. All right, I'm gonna have you spar with Derek." And Derek was whooping on him, and Derek had him all busted up and stuff. This too, and Roy asked him this: "How you feel?" He said, "I feel good. I want more." Kept coming back for more, and that's how he got more sharper and more better. How he got more sharper and more better. So I come from that lineage.
And it taught me, as a fan of boxing, real fan of boxing, that the United States has one of the worst judges in the world. In the United States, judges are very bad, corrupt, and subjudge the favorites. Very bad judging.
Uh huh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because it's like a because like the thing is on this too is that oh, repeat that again. Like it was like a wind blowing. Repeat that again, sir.
Oh, uh, about judging in the United States.
Oh yeah, the judging.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the judging out here. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Corrupt. Corrupt. Oh yeah.
Outside of boxing, you were also dealing with serious situations in your personal life. You
Yes.
experienced betrayal from people you believed were genuinely supporting you. Eventually,
Yeah.
you made the decision to walk away from that environment instead of allowing it to control your future. How
Yes.
difficult was it to cut certain people out of your life? To cut.
Yeah, because I made the decision to remove myself away from people who did not serve me no purpose. Because I was always the type of person who who've always been kind, who've always been polite, who've always been nice. And I always felt that like because of me being who I am, I thought people would be the same way as me. But in reality, as I got older, I told myself that people don't have the same heart and the same mindset as me. So I became very selective with who I let into my life and who I handpicked in my circle. And so I told myself that not everybody deserves to be in my life, and not everybody deserves to be in my circle, because it's always the person. It's always that person who want to say that, oh, hello, Brandon, how are you doing? I'll be like, hello, nice to meet you. I'm doing fine. And then next you know, they start being weird. They start want to pull like some funny slick stuff, and I'm just not with that. I just told myself that no, because I already get labels and labels put on me, and people judge me because of me being a big guy and stuff like this too. Because like I don't try to fit in or try to follow the in crowd of what most people out here in America do and stuff. I just don't do that because all I do, I just mind my own business. I focus on my future, and um, I don't go to clubs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that at all. I stay to myself, and I'm on my own business. And and I just live a positive life. And if people thrive off of chaos, and if people thrive off of trouble or ignorance and stuff, I remove myself away from them. Especially with the times that we're living in now, how today's country climate is, it's really hectic out here, and um, I just remove myself away from that. I don't get caught up into that.
You have said that you don't trust many people, but you
Yes,
also describe yourself as genuine, kind, and someone with a good heart. That combination tells me that loyalty means a lot to you. You have clearly learned through experience that not everyone around you has the same intentions. What,
yes.
what does loyalty mean to Brandyn Kelly today?
Loyalty means is that whether what loyalty means to me is that if, say for example, if you ask me, hey Brandon, is it okay if you can help me on this day? I'll say, yeah, sure, whatever, like yeah, sure, whatever. Or say, for example, hey Brandon, I'm struggling right now. Is it okay if you can spot me on a couple bucks or whatever? This like, so I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. And say, for example, like this like Tuesday, like I ask you like in reciprocation, and you'd be like, no, I can't do it for the day like this too. But it's like, but it's like you're the same person that asked me to help you out for something. But if I ask you for something, you can't help me out. So it's like you shoot me away. And it's like, okay, but it's like this like too, but it's like you ever want to hit me up only for your own convenience. But if I ask you for something, which I really even ask people for anything, but I take that as a I take that as an opportunity where you want to use me at your own leisure, or you want to use me for the wrong reasons, or you want to use me for for some type of for some type of how can I put this for some type of as what oh yeah, I found the word, for some type of compensation, for some type of compensation. And loyalty to me is that as long as you're real and honest with me, I will be real and honest towards you. And if you can't be on that type of frequency with me, then I don't see what's the point of us being friends. And that's just what it is. If you want to be on the type of if you're the type of individual who wants to be shisty, or you want to be a backstabber, or you want to be a snake, or or like, or you want to give me bad vibes or negative energy and stuff, I don't need you around. And that's what I meant by I don't trust many people, because I've been burnt many times by people who I thought were good people. And then later on, I find out who they really are just by being around them. And I can know somebody for a year or two or more, and I'll find out who they really are, or how they, or who they've really been this whole time behind closed doors without me even being around. And I'm like, okay, so this is who you've been behind closed doors this whole time. So that's how you are. Okay, now I learned my lessons to not to ever associate myself with you ever again. So that just tells me to not ever have no communication with you, not have no contact with you, not to ever be around you again. That's what I meant by not trust a lot of people.
You also say that you don't associate yourself with ignorance and that you are not a follower. You see yourself more as a leader. That mentality seems to be a major part of how you approach boxing and life. What
Yes,
makes someone a true leader in your eyes?
yes, yes. Because what I mean by that, I see myself as a leader and not a follower, because I lead by example. Meaning that just because just because I see somebody else doing what they're doing, it doesn't mean that I have to follow. It does not mean that I have to follow their footsteps. And just because just because I see somebody else being a cheater, it doesn't mean as a fighter I have to cheat like them. And just because that, hold on, people are being loud. What? What I mean by that, just because I see another fighter doing something illegal, it does not mean that I have to go along with whatever agenda that they're doing. I like to lead by example. I like to be clean. I like to be fair. And on top of that too, um, I don't want to be the fighter who's all in the tabloids saying that oh, Brandon Kelly has been caught doing PEDs. Brandon Kelly has been caught with illegal hand wraps. Brandon Kelly has been caught doing this and doing that, doing this and doing that. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. So I want to lead by example. I want to be a clean fighter because I understand that there's a lot of people in the sport and in this business that do shady stuff, and I don't want to fall. I do not want to fall under that umbrella. So that's what I mean. That I want to be a leader instead of a follower.
After leaving the situation in LA, you stayed in San Diego and trained by yourself for an entire year. You
Yes.
were essentially responsible for your own development and had to
Yes.
find people to spar with yourself. That
Yes.
kind of isolation can be extremely difficult for a fighter. What did that year alone in San Diego do to your mentality?
Man, after all that happened in Los Angeles, what I did, because that was a depressing time, and I was tempted to walk away from boxing, and I was tempted to give up, but something inside me told me to not quit and to not give up and to keep going to where what I decided to do is to go to EOS Fitness, and because they had a punching bag, like it was some fitness gyms that had punching bags like EOS Fitness and Toy Farm Fitness. They had punching bags, and I would do my shadow boxing up in there, and I would do my rounds up in there, and I would run on the treadmill and do my calisthenics and do my pull-ups and my dips, and I would hit some weights up in there as well to just stay in shape and do what I have to do. And if I knew somebody that was a fighter like myself, or I befriended them, we would spar, we would move around, or I would go to some gyms and get some light sparring with them, or get some sparring with them, and I would move around. Like I moved around with a guy from Victory MMA and boxing gym out there in San Diego, and he was Ryan Garcia's sparring partner. I sparred with him, and I'm not going to say his name, but this guy, he thought that this guy thought that I was like easy work for him, and until he found out that I wasn't, he found out that I was very slick, and I had really good head movement, and I did what I did, and so he underestimated me, and he felt some kind of way. He wouldn't give me my respect and wouldn't give me my props. So I looked at where it was at. I kept on moving. So yeah, so that's what I did. I still kept at it, and I still kept moving forward. And then next thing you know, um, and then that was the year when I found out that my grandfather passed away, and that's where I really, really decided not to quit.
You are real man. I very respect you. Because sometimes a fighter needs to lose everything around him before he discovers what really matters. You had
Yes,
already experienced disappointment, betrayal, controversial decisions, and uncertainty. Yet you continue on moving forward instead of walking away from boxing. What kept you from quitting during the hardest period of your life?
man. Um, Jesus. Um, the hardest, the hardest part was um the hardest part was being told by many people who I quote unquote thought were my friends. And this goes back to tell you, um, this goes back to what you said earlier about me not trusting many people, right? The hardest part was letting go some of the people that needed to be let go. That was the hardest part. And these were the people that told me that I would never find another gym and I would never find another coach and that I was done. That was the hardest part, is letting go of the people that need to be let go, who I thought that had love for me and who I thought were my friends that had to be let go. Whether they were family or whether they were my friends, they had to be let go. That was the hardest part.
And next, eventually, your best friend and another person encouraged you to contact someone you knew in Las Vegas. That connection ultimately changed the direction of your career. You had
Yes.
actually been encouraged to move to Las Vegas years earlier. Why do you
Uh-huh.
think the timing finally become right at that point in your life?
Yes. And all credit goes to my friend Sasha, because my friend Sasha used to be a fighter. And she, when I was in Los Angeles around the time the year I started boxing, she tried to get me to come out here around that time. And that was around the time where I was loyal to the people I was around with in LA. And um I told her that when I called her, I said, "Hey Sasha, um, I want to come out there to Vegas and I want you to introduce me to the people that you were telling me about, as far as like the coaches, as far as the gym." And so she said, okay. So she told me that to buy a plane ticket and come stay with me on these certain days. And I'll bring you to the gym and I'll introduce you to the coach and everybody else. And so I came out here to Las Vegas and I stayed with her and came to the gym at Real Boxing. That's where I trained. That's my home, Real Boxing Gym. And then she introduced me to Coach Will, who is my coach, who I call my pops. And me and him are like this. And I knew from day one it was genuine. And so she introduced me to him, and we were talking, and she showed me. She introduced me to him and another coach and everyone else around there. And I was training up in there, and one of my teammates, he was doing mitts. He was on doing this with me. This is around the time where I didn't know anybody, and I was working up in there. And I started getting the vibe of the gym, and I said, "Yeah, this is the gym." And so when Coach Will brought me back to Sasha's house, and we was having a long talk and having a long discussion, we exchanged contact numbers and stuff, and so we kept the contact ever since. And he told me, "You let me know when you move out here, and then we good." I said, "All right, cool." And so Sasha was asking me, "What do you think?" I said, "Yeah, that's the gym. I found the gym." And so ever since then, life has gotten a lot better and so much better for me. And it got me and my mother away from California. Not only that, because when my grandfather passed away, that was the icing on the cake to where my mom said, "Yeah, it was time to go," because my mom did not want us being in San Diego, not because of not mostly of because of my grandfather, mostly because of me, because she saw of what I was dealing with out there, living out there, and how the ignorance out there and all types of stuff, and she did not want me to become a statistic out there. And that's exactly why we moved away from there. And I'm so happy to be away from San Diego, and I'm happy to be in Las Vegas. And I'm thankful every day. I'm grateful every day to not be in California no more. And I'm happy to be in the desert where it's peaceful and I can enjoy and love what I'm doing. And I'm around greatness every day. So yeah.
When you finally moved to Las Vegas at the end of 2023, something immediately felt different. You have described Las Vegas as home, as said you knew you had found the right gym. Finding the right environment can completely change a fighter's career. What was it about Las Vegas that made you immediately feel like you belong there?
Um, what made me feel what made me feel I belong here was that because one I'll say, um, one I will say is that as a kid, I'm not foreign to Las Vegas because I remember when I was in elementary, we came here on a school week, and I was supposed to be in school. We came here on a school week, so I was already aware of Las Vegas. I already knew where Circus was, Caesar's Palace, MGM Grand, and stuff. This too, but living here wise, uh, I didn't know anybody out here, and but I was fine with being at my boxing gym, knowing everybody from my boxing gym, and not really caring about people from the outside and stuff. This too, because all my friends are in California, and um, my boxing gym is my family. I made a family oriented gym up in there, and I'm very close with everybody up in there, and the kids love me up in there. And at first, I didn't know anybody, and didn't nobody know who I was. They didn't know who I was. They seen that, oh, who's this guy? He's from California and stuff. This too, and they didn't think that I can fight until they see me fight, and they were like, oh well, and they didn't think that I had really good head movement, and I'm very slick, and I'm fast and stuff. This too, they're like, oh wow. And then when they saw me knock somebody knock a fighter out at Richard Steele's in an amateur show, they're like, "Oh wow, man! Like this dude really good. He's slick for a big guy, and he put people on their back." And that's what they were like, "Wow." Then they're like this. They're like that's another. They're all saying that that's another Mike Tyson, James Toney type of fighter. That's what they were all saying. So yeah, so yeah. At first, I didn't nobody really know who I was until Coach Will took me under his wing and introduced me to everyone. And he introduced me to legendary fighters and all the people that he knows and all the people that he had connections with around the city and different gyms and stuff this too. And I always told him that, and as I told him since day one, is that when the opportunity comes where I sign contracts and stuff this too, I'm not going to sign nothing unless he's in the room with me because I'm not that type of fighter. I don't want to be that guy to where I'm put in the corner and they say, "Would you sign this, sign this? Would you sign with us to sign with us and stuff this too?" Because no, I'm not signing nothing unless my coach is in there with me because my coach, he knows the business. He knows his business very well, and he's been in this game longer than me. So he knows the contracts, and he's gotten fighters. He's gotten a lot of fighters out of contracts, out of funny contracts in the past. So I'm one of those guys is that I'm not going to sign nothing unless he's in the room with me. And that's why I told him since day one, I'm not signing nothing unless you're in there with me. So yeah.
Your relationship with your current coach sounds much deeper than a traditional fighter-coach relationship. You describe him almost like a father figure and
Yes.
say you have enormous trust and respect of him.
Yes.
That kind of relationship can become incredibly important when you are dedicating your life to boxing. What
Yes.
has your coach given you that goes beyond boxing technique?
Man, he gives me every day life advice. He always tells me that to become a better man. He always tells me that to that to don't be one of those fighters who be chasing women and stuff. Don't be having a lot of kids out here, and don't be one of those guys who be making a lot of mistakes out here or get caught up into social media or be out here wilding out or going to clubs or going to parties and stuff this too, or don't be one of those guys. Don't he always tells me, do not let people get to you up here. Don't let people get to you. Don't let people get to your mental because when somebody takes you out your mental, it's game over. They won and you already lost up here. Do not let people get to you mental. He always tells me that all the time, and he always tells me that he always gives me financial advice, and he sees like this too that that I'm a great guy. He sees I'm on the right path, and he sees I come from a loving mother, and he sees that I'm not like most. I'm not like most people that who be BS and boxing. I don't be like half-assing the sport, and he sees that I'm very serious and very dedicated about my craft, and that's why he has so much love and respect for me. And not only we have a lot of love and respect for each other in the gym, we also have love and respect for each other outside the gym as well too. Because I'm always hanging with him and my teammates outside the gym as well this too. Because to be honest with you, I don't hang with nobody out here in Vegas. I don't hang with no outsiders because a lot of people out here they be on some weird stuff, and I don't want to partake in it. So I always hang with people from my boxing gym. So yeah.
Your coach has a remarkable boxing lineage and has worked with elite fighters and world champions. You are surrounded by people who have experienced a championship level boxing firsthand. That means every day in the gym can become a lesson if you are willing to listen. How
Yes.
has being around that level of knowledge changed your understanding of boxing?
Oh man, it changed my level. It changed my level of boxing, like from here to here. And all it just does, it just motivates me into perfecting more, into wanting more. That's what it does. Like every single day I step in that gym, my whole agenda is getting better. Everything else is getting better. All that outside noises and stuff, I don't care. My whole agenda is getting better. It's getting better. What do I need to work on? What do I need to fix? What I'm really good at, what I'm really good at, yeah, I'm really good at that, but I'm gonna keep perfecting that. What I'm not really good at, I want to keep perfecting it regardless. Either or, it don't matter. That's just my whole thing. It's perfecting what I need to perfect on. So yeah.
You, you mentioned that your coach was trained under Roy Jones Jr.'s father and was around Jones Jr. and Derek Gainer from a young age. That puts you inside a very interesting boxing lineage. You are not just learning techniques, you are learning from generations of boxing experience.
Yes.
What is the most valuable lesson from that lineage that you have absorbed?
Um, what I've learned is that when you put through the fire, when you're put through the fire, you're going to wind up becoming a monster because how he came up, he was put through the fire. How Roy came up, he was put through the fire. How Derek came up, he was put through the fire. They were all put through the fire. Big Roy put all of his fighters through the fire. They were all put through the fire. And he doesn't baby none of his fighters. And that's how my coach is towards us. He doesn't baby none of us. And my coach is known for having my coach is known for having monsters out here in the city. He's known for having killers, and so, and I'm very thankful, and I'm very thankful, and I'm happy to be a part of that lineage, and I'm grateful, and I don't take that for granted. And so, when somebody asks me what lineage I come for, what lineage I come from, I tell them where I come from, or who I'm trained under, and where he was trained under. They'd be like, "Oh wow, so you come from that lineage?" I say, "Yes, I do." And so I don't take that for granted. And that's not for show. And that's not just to look good. That's for real. So I always tell people this all the time. I don't play about boxing. I take this very serious. This is a sport. This is a sport where you don't play. People die in that ring. People really live and die in that ring. And I'm one of those guys that are very serious and dedicated about my craft. So yeah.
When people describe your style, they often compare you to Mike Tyson and James Toney. Those are two completely different fighters, but both had incredible defensive instincts, timing, intelligence, and destructive ability. Those comparisons naturally create expectations. Which parts of Tyson's and Tony's styles do you see most clearly in your own game?
The Tyson, the pressure, and the power in both hands. Tony, the slickness and the head movement. That's what I see. Mm-hmm. Both because the head movement is from Tyson and Tony because I have really good head movement and I'm very slick and I have really good footwork as well.
Mike Tyson was famous for explosive pressure and
Yes.
devastating combinations. James Toney was famous for his defense, counterpunching, timing, and ability to make opponents miss. You seem interested in combining intelligence with violence rather than simply walking forward throwing punches.
Yes.
How Would you describe the Brandyn Kelly style in your own words? Peekaboo, Philly shell, or shoulder roll?
Oh man, Gee, man, I would say, hmm, I would say like my style of fighting is like, see, I don't try to compare myself like those guys, um, because for me, for a big guy, I throw a lot of punches as well. I throw more than one punch. I throw a lot of punches. For me, I would say that, man, that's hard. I'll have to say, to be honest with you, I'll have to say like it's a combination of both. It's a combination of both, man.
You have,
Because
yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt you, like because I'm the type of person I like to make myself unpredictable because you may never know what you're going to expect from
unpredictable style.
me. Yeah, yes,
You have said you are not the loud or arrogant type of a fighter. You don't feel the need to constantly promote yourself or talk about your opponents.
hmm
Instead, you believe your hands should do the talking.
yes. hmm
Why is silence such an important part of your identity as a fighter?
Because where I come from in California, uh, in our terms, street terms, it's like this: if we want to get you, we're going to get you. And in fighting, I've had people disrespect me. Like for example, I've had a guy in my amateur fight disrespect me before the fight and during the fight too. And what happened is that I wound up knocking him out the second round. And I'm the type of guy that you don't want to disrespect and you don't want to talk trash to because you're going to wind up paying for it in the ring. Because at the end of the day, nobody's not going to save you in that ring except for that referee. Because the only person you're going to have to deal with is me. Because because like how I view people who like to do this and who like to run their mouth, all you're doing, you're showing insecurities, you're showing weakness. Because if you're that confident in yourself as a fighter, you don't have to say much. You shouldn't have to do all this acting. You should have to do all that theatrics, or you should have to do all this talking for it. All that to me is another animation. All you're trying to do is just pump yourself up, and you're wasting energy. See, a person like me, I can just sit back. Like you seen the movie The Godfather, right? You know how The Godfather he just sits back like this, like that's how I am. See, I can be the type of person I can have my shades on. I can be like, I can just look at you like that. And it's like because while you ever just running your mouth and running your mouth, all I could think of is that okay, I'm gonna make sure you pay for it once you get in the ring because I don't like to go back and forth. I like to fight. And when you feel my punches going across your mouth, you're gonna feel it, and you're gonna wind up getting knocked out because I'm gonna make sure you pay for it. Because one thing you don't know about me, sir, I was picked on and I was bullied a lot, teased growing up as a kid. And I've been humiliated. I've been through everything a 90s baby kid would go through. And you can say that all those experiences made me into a monster. And I channel that monster energy is through the ring and through 10-ounce gloves. And that's exactly why I told myself every day is that I'm a winner. I wake up as a winner. And every single time I step in that ring, I'm a winner. And all the hard work I put in and day out, I'm determined to. And I let my hands talk and speak for itself. And I feel bad for whoever stands in front of me, especially if they want to run their mouth before the fight. I'm gonna make sure they pay for it because you may look at me and say that oh, he's a big guy. Oh, he can't do this. Oh, he can't do that. Oh, he's going to gas out. He's going to be tired after the first round and stuff. This too. I'll give you an example. Remember what they said about Andy Ruiz, right? And remember what Andy Ruiz did to Anthony Joshua, right? I'm like that. Pretty much, I'm like that. I'm like that example too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in the final part of our interview, we will talk about your professional career. Your professional debut took place in Rosarito, Mexico. You went into another country for your first professional fight and come away with a first round knockout.
Yes, sir.
That's a powerful way to begin a professional career. What do you remember most about walking into the ring for your professional debut?
Oh man. When we went out there to Rosarito, we went out there to Mexico. We were at the weigh-in. My first professional debut. My coach, aka my pops, that's what I call him my pops. He knows that my hands are like this. I was like nervous. I was shaking. Which everybody's nervous. It's a natural thing. And then when you get in the ring, it goes away. At the weigh-in, I did a face-off with the fighter, with my opponent, and the promoter matched me up with a guy. He had over 100 or 200 pro fights, and this dude was a veteran, and he was an inch taller than me. He had to be about at least 200 pounds, and there was like I think it was like his friends or his buddies. They were laughing at me and they were talking trash about me in Spanish, and I was just looking at them like, yeah, okay. And then when it came to fight day, we were warming up, and I had on some 10-ounce Puerto Reyes gloves, and those are my favorite gloves to fight in. I love Puerto Reyes gloves. Those are my favorite ounce gloves to fight in. I love those, and I love the Power Lock Everlast gloves too. And when we went in the ring, all those nerves went away immediately. Went away, and when he got in the ring, I went straight at him. The dude did not expect me to be fast and throw a lot of punches, and I damn near threw almost 20 or 30 punches at him. And he did not expect it. And I knocked him down the first, like, I knocked him down. And the ref gave him a standing count and he got back up. And when I was throwing combinations at him, he threw an overhand right at me and I ate it. I kept coming forward at him. And so I had him up against the ropes. I hit him. I hit him with an uppercut to the liver. No whip with the liver. I came back with a hook to the head, and he was finished. He couldn't take it no more. I was too much for him. And I won by first round knockout. And that was only the first round because I asked my pops, I said, hey, pops, what round is this? He said, this is the first round. I said, all right, cool. And that was it. And that was all she wrote. And I paid my respects to everybody in Mexico, and everybody was cheering for me. And everybody went to take pictures with me and stuff. And it was a great feeling. And yeah, that was a great feeling. And that was a memorable night in Mexico.
Unfortunately, the promoter allegedly disappeared with fighters' money and the results weren't properly recorded on Boxrec. That
Yeah.
your official record doesn't tell the full story of what happened that night. Your real record, 1-0. For a fighter beginning his professional career, that can be incredibly frustrating. How frustrating was it to get your first professional victory but not receive the proper recognition for it?
Oh, it was very frustrating because everybody that fought out there in America and some of the guys that was training at Salas across from us, um they were messaging me on Instagram and they were asking me, "Hey Brandon, did you get your victory put up on Boxrec?" And I said, "No." Did you guys? He said, "No." Him and his brother, they both did not get their victories put up there on Boxrec. So the promoter, everybody paid their money to him, and didn't nobody get their victories put up there on Boxrec at all whatsoever. And so not only me, it was a whole lot of fighters that fought out there. And so that's exactly why a lot of fighters they did not want to deal, they did not want to do business with them no more. But come to find out down there in Mexico, um, it's not only him, a lot of promoters are doing that now. A lot of promoters are doing that now down out there in Mexico. The reason why a lot of promoters are doing that now is because I guess from what I was told, they are unsatisfied and very dissatisfied of American fighters going down there beating their fighters down there in Mexico, which everybody knows that Mexico got a lot of great fighters down there that can fight. They're tired of American fighters going down there beating their fighters and winning, and so they're going to be petty by not putting their victories up there on Boxrec. And we tried to go through the commission, and the commission wasn't buying it. So, and the commission down there, they won't put it up there. And so that's exactly why. That's exactly why I have to. That's why I have to. I have to start over again, sadly, and which is going to be another victory. I have to go down in. I have to go to Colombia next week and fight down there, and I will get my victory put up there on Boxrec. So yeah.
Oh, brother, I think they will bring this fight to the box rack later. Later. The main thing is not in 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, like yeah, because but then I will say this though, because despite of that situation, is that it was frustrating because last year, like all throughout the year of last year, the promoters in Colorado and everywhere else, what they would not do is let me fight because they did not believe I never fought. And we tried to tell them, and we sent them videos, is that yeah, he fought. He's fought in Mexico. He's had a pro fight, but they didn't believe it because they said that no, we're afraid that he's going to get hurt and stuff like this too. And my coach said that my heavyweight has fought. He's a fighter. And so they wasn't buying it. So that's how frustrated it was. So it was a due process, but we wound up getting connected with the promoter down there in Colombia that's from here in Vegas, and we spoke to him, and so now we got everything situated and handled. So now I'm going to go down there to Colombia and get the job done, and come back to the states, and now I'm going to have my another professional fight out here somewhere in the United States. I'm going to be prepared for that as well too. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, all I've been doing through the whole process of those months has been working hard. Been working hard and staying in the gym. I stayed my ass in the gym all these months, no matter what. I didn't let that hinder me at all whatsoever. I stayed myself in the gym, no matter what.
Some fighters might allow something like that to discourage them. You seem to have taken the opposite approach and simply continuing moving forward. At the end of the day, you know what happened in that ring even if a website doesn't show it. Does that situation make you even more determined to build an undeniable record from this point forward?
Oh yes, it does. It makes me more determined. It makes me more determined. It makes me more hungry, and it makes me more resilient. It makes me how can I explain this? It makes me want to get myself more out there. It makes me want to get my name out there as well too. Once me get me, it makes me want to get myself more noticeable because I want everybody to know who I am. That's how I feel, and that's how I've been feeling. And the way to do it is to be that guy to the way to do it is to be that guy is to just put people on their back. That's the only way. Put people on their back. Just don't do all this. Just put people on their back. Let people do all this, and you be the silent killer. Just be in the cut. Just be all right. Let's fight. Boom, boom, boom. You on your back. Onto the nets. Boom, boom, boom. On their back. Onto the nets. Simple as that. Just be that guy. Because I'm going to be that guy, and I will be that guy. Simple as that. And I will become a champion, and that's just what it is. So yeah, I'm not cocky. I'm not arrogant. I'm very confident and I believe in myself. Simple as that.
Finally, now you are preparing for another major step in your career. You are scheduled to fight in Colombia on August 31st. A victory there would give you momentum as you prepare to return to the United States. What can fans expect from Brandyn Kelly when you step into that Colombian ring?
Oh, you're going to expect a heavyweight that you ain't never seen before, that you ain't seen in a long time. That's very athletic, that's very slick, that's very fast, that throws a lot of punches. And y'all may have seen a fighter like Andy Ruiz, but best believe you're going to see another fighter up there as well. And that's going to be me. I'm going to be one of them ones, and I will become a champion. I am the type of fighter with an old school mentality type of fighter. And a lot of this new age stuff, I'm not with that. I'm more old school type of mentality type of fighter. So yeah, that's all I got to say. So that's my story and that's who I am.
And my final question. Do you believe turning professional later actually made you more prepared mentally? You turned professional at 30.
Yes. Yes. And I believe that I can handle anything that comes my way because with everything that I've been through, um, you're talking about a person like myself who've experienced life and death situations, um, first time experience in jail, um, first time um, having people trying to take my freedom, trying to take my life, um, everything. Been through everything that people wouldn't even imagine. And I'm still here by the grace of God. And I have people that love me. I have people that care about me. And I'm one of God's child. And God don't play about his children. And no matter what people say and no matter what people think, I know who I am at the end of the day and I know what I stand for. And I'm not one of those type of people that are in the sport of boxing to call out names and to disrespect other fighters or who are going to be one of those type of fighters that's going to be on that fake it till you make it type of fighter. I'm not one of those guys. I respect people and give people when credit is due. And I'm very humble. And I just stay in my own lane. And in the process of building my record. And when I climb up the ranks and when I earn mines in the sport, I'm determined to be great. I'm surrounded around greatness. And I will be noticed. Everybody's going to know who I am because I know who I am. I'm confident in my abilities. I know what I can do. And I don't let the world dictate me, and I don't let society dictate me, and I don't let nobody tell me what I am when I know who I am as a professional fighter, when I know what I can do, when many people have seen me fight, and everybody sees what I can do, and everybody sees me every day in the gym. So, as a professional, what I can say is that I'm here to stay, and I know what I can do. And when I do become a champion, uh, I hope my story inspires other fighters who are late starters like myself and inspires kids, whether you come from the slums or come from a good background like myself that have been through things or been through life challenges or whatever the case may be. Don't stop believing in yourself and don't stop chasing your dreams because there's always light. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Always look up to people who've made it out of the worst situations that became great. So that's what I can say, and that's all I can say. So as a professional, I'm here to stay, and I will become one of the greats. So um, I'm not one of those type of guys who's going to fake it till you make it. I'm going to earn mine the right way, and that's what I can say, sir. And I appreciate this interview, and I'm happy I'm still surprised. I'm shocked that you reached out to me because when I checked my notification, I was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "Oh shoot!" And then I showed my pops, I showed my coach. He's like, "Oh, I know that guy. I seen his videos." I said, "Okay, cool." I said, "What y'all think?" He said, "My pops, my team." They said, "Yeah, yeah, take the interview." I said, "All right, cool. I'm gonna take it." So I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do the interview." So yeah, so I appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you for reaching out to me. Thank you very much. And I see that you interviewed my friend Elijah, because that's how I met Elijah. Elijah was there that night when I fought in that tournament. That's how me and him met because he was there. He fought before me when that happened.
Elijah, War
Yeah,
Chief,
Elijah Akana, the Hawaiian.
War Chief.
Yeah, the war chief. Yeah. That's how I met Elijah. That's how I met Elijah out. That's how I met Elijah out here in Vegas.
El-
We met at the tournament. Yeah. hmm
Elijah Akana, the
Yeah.
future of cruiserweight.
Yeah. 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 That's exactly how we met. Yeah. We met at that tournament that I fought at. That's how me and Elijah met.
Time flew quickly. One pleasure was to talk to you about your past. This is just the beginning. I really want you to succeed. And that you hold the belts in your hands.
Yes.
Belts in your hands.
Yes.
Brandyn, thank you for opening up and sharing such a personal story with us. Your journey is a reminder that sometimes the hardest roads create the strongest fighters. From
Yes.
San Diego and Los Angeles to Las Vegas, and now into the international stage in Colombia, you have continued to move forward despite everything you have faced. I wish you nothing but success on August 31st, and I hope we can look back at this interview one day when you are standing on top of the boxing world. Keep walking, stay humble, let your hands speak, and we will see you at the top.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Goodbye, my friend,
Thank
and
you. Appreciate
good
you,
luck.
friend. Thank you.